So, I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours. What do you fear? Or maybe there's multiple fears. I'll tell you that I was afraid to start this YouTube channel. I actually started and stopped many times. I was afraid to paint, believe it or not. When I first returned to art making, my life was kind of falling apart and I was going through a big awakening. And you could say that I'm going through a big awakening now in a different kind of way. So we're always awakening to more, and we're always kind of facing fears. And sometimes life gives us the situation and an opportunity to really look internally even more. But we don't always want to look, do we? So consider this video right now an invitation. Vlog number 4. I'm going to talk about starting, because that's always we're afraid to start sometimes. So I'm going to be working on a new piece, even though I have so many pieces on the go. But I'll be working on a new piece, talking about being like afraid to start something, because sometimes we can be afraid to just start at that blank canvas, but we can also be afraid to just admit what it is for us, right? The desire, what we really love in art, because maybe it's a little taboo or it's not like mainstream, so that kind of, you don't see a lot of representations of it, or everybody is telling you one thing and you're like listening to them too much. It happens to all of us, I think. We get caught up in wanting to find the answer out there, but really it's about like redirecting the energy and dialing it back into the heart of the matter and learning how to accept that, this is our individual artist path, our individual healing path, our individual journey, and that we can really just have to do what makes sense to us. And it doesn't always make sense to someone else when we choose what we want to do, right? And that can be scary. I'm Natalie Didamio. I'm a mixed media abstract artist, soulful creator, intuitive guide and channel, and I like to kind of help you open the doors to more, and I'm also opening my door a little bit wider by daring to share things that kind of scare me. Sometimes it's embarrassing to admit a truth, especially out loud, because we're worried about the appearances all the time, and I don't think any industry really helps us with that. I think it's kind of all designed to take us out. I mean, this is my perspective, and these are my ideas and thoughts around all of it here in this channel. So that's the cool thing about being able to express what you want to express and just dare to show up to the moment. And it can be scary because maybe it's not going to be received, just like an artwork, right? That whole acceptance piece. I have a video about acceptance that I'll put up there. It's all about entering that cave we fear to enter and finding the treasure we seek, right? And Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, says that. And find that out to be true. When sometimes things can just be a thought, but once it becomes an embodiment, an embodied awareness where it's moved through you and you've taken it on and reassembled and rearranged your internal stuff, there's a difference there. Then it becomes just your truth. And we all have different truths in a way, because we're all living and perceiving in this different kind of landscape, and we're all definitely making different expressions. I have a few pieces that were accepted into a show recently. One of them is really fresh and new, And it's nice when it's accepted, right? But what happens when it's not? You guys, like, there's a lot of rejection in this world, not just in art, but in like living. And like, you're not gonna be everyone's cup of coffee. You're just not. And that, that can be scary, especially if you've been shy, sensitive, kind of locked up, and you don't know how to like come into your like, presencing and take up that space. Here on this channel, it's all about helping you live into your most like authentic expression and open that door a little bit wider to mark making, to drawing, to color, creativity, and also energy and emotion and light of awareness, right? It's all these awarenesses that make up the moment, and there's many moments to be had in art and life. It's a little scary to start something new. I have a couple pieces. I kind of want to talk about my own fear of coming out in art and life. My tendency was to always kind of shut down and run away from what I truly desired. I don't know if you can relate, but I was just locked up for a really long time. And even as I stepped on the healing path, there's many layers and variables and nuances to that. You don't always see the whole picture until you do, and it can take a lot. Anyway, I want to talk about being lost in art, though, and losing kind of my way. So I wanted to talk about the return and being lost in art, because sometimes we don't see the directions until we're looking back on like a few years. At least this is my experience, what's happening for me, so I can only speak for myself. And that's what I'll do here on this channel. But I wanted to bring up this painting, a couple of paintings where I've been in deep reflection as I awaken to more of all of what's important to me, not just in art, but in my expressions, in sharing all the sides, which includes the energetic and the shamanic, and talking about the emotionality of things and being who I am, deep, soulful, colorful, expressive, raw, wild, free. Here on this channel, that's what it's all about. And so when we talk about looking at older work, this was my first piece called Surrendering to the Unknown, my first larger piece from 2020. And I recently was looking back at a lot of stuff after being in a couple of classes this year, and just a really hard lots of years. I feel like 2024 for me has been reestablishing my own foundation and opening up to more after many, many hard trials and tribulations over the last few decades, especially the last few years, last 4, I would say. But it's all relative. Let's just talk about now and moving forward, right? But it's good to look back and reflect, especially on your artwork. We can lose ourselves in the process all the time, but sometimes you need to get lost in order to find yourself in art and your beingness, right? At least that's my understanding. It's not that well practiced. It's a practice, all of it. I got this new little thing. It's all a practice. Art, living, speaking into all your expressions, daring to share yourself forward, changing your appearance, whatever it is, whatever you feel called to do. What is the desire in your heart? Sometimes when we face that desire, the fears come in, right? Because we're getting closer to the truth and the heart of the matter, and that's scary. And it's also scary to admit things, right? Especially if it wasn't the best thing, or maybe you just run away from the issue and don't like face the truth of the matter. Anyone ever done that? Because, you know, if you've ever been like locked up in pain and fear and all that doubt and worry, it's like this. It's like, but like when you like strip that away and kind of start to look at that internal awareness, which can be scary, what happens is, well, you go, oh, these things maybe weren't the best things, and this is what I really desire, and I haven't been living into my expressions, or in this case, with surrendering to the unknown, I have a few standout pieces from like 4 years ago, but they were like the baby beginning of where I was with the understanding and where everything was starting to connect, but I kind of didn't see it at the time. But it's like looking back, I can see, whoa, there it was, there it is, whoop, there it is. There it is. Anyway, with that being said, that's why this is an art practice, and the process of becoming and unbecoming, and learning how to see more and more and more, right? In like that like sight beyond what we see, you know, out there, journeying out into those worlds plural, and bringing it into the artworks, right? And having that like expression and that momentum and that energy, and honoring all of that. You know, I have a video about honoring our voice, and it's really energetic and shamanic. I'll put it right there. So it's really important for me to bring the side, and I don't know if you've ever like hid a whole side of you, and then you try to like live in the world and you're like just miserable and sad because you know you're not like being what you want to be, or you think because of what people told you that it has to be a certain way in art or like your expression and creativity, and you kind of follow this path that isn't you. So that can happen in any kind of way. And what I'm interested in my artwork and also my life is coming into more expressions, honoring all sides, giving voice to it, not just through paint and drawing and all that, but it is part of the process for me, but also bringing the other elements in, because that's just me, right? And not like kind of listening to like it has to be this narrow thing. And I've talked about that before. When we collapse that, we get multiplicity and multidimensionality, and you know, we're like colorful beings of creation. From my understanding, you know, what they've shown me, what I've lived through, and so let's just try to be true to that, right? And of course, we always have blind spots, so it's not perfect. It's a process, but sometimes the imperfections are like the best things, you know. Have you ever seen a human being flawed and just in that like, you know, they're trying, but they're still kind of like shutting down and running away from themselves, and you see their beauty anyway. I know, like, so that's kind of how art is for me, and it's what I see in people all the time, and it's how I come to like live into this life, and understanding that, you know, as much as we can make a mistake, or as much as we've faltered, there's still the like essence of these qualities of someone that shines through, and I've always seen that. And it might be my naivety and like trusting too much and like realizing that, you know, I see your fears out there, and I feel your pain. That is a truth, and but I also see that it's possible to break free from that. So, like, back to this painting, surrendering to the unknown, which kind of is perfect for what I just said, because when we don't really know, we need to kind of let go and surrender to the moment. And a lot of times I feel like in an artwork, you know, that's what we're doing. We're, especially in this, like, abstract, intuitive, raw, emotional expression, sometimes you just let go into the emotion of the moment, and it can really take you over, and that's fun. But sometimes scary, right? If we haven't got used to like moving through all of the energies and kind of like anchoring these different experiences and awarenesses, because like the multiplicity is kind of, well, yeah, sometimes too much. But we can learn to like entertain any awareness and kind of open and close the doors all the time. So in essence, we're kind of always awakening to more. You know, it's an infinite like wellspring of possibility and beingness. But I didn't see it at the time, you know. For a moment, I tried to be a painter because I was fearing that if I just did mixed media, I wasn't like a real painter. I made this up. I don't know. And then I kind of lost my way and focused on the wrong thing, and I like kind of let other people and what they put on me like shut me down. But I might instead of just be what it is for me. So that was my mistake, right? Realizing that it's not really what anyone else says, it's what I want to do. But sometimes I was so like scared to just do it, you know, or scared to like say the thing, whatever, scared to make the mark, or I didn't like see what it was for me at the time. But the thing is, we can always rearrange our thinking and come back to the center of awareness and start again. You know, we're always kind of starting again, but we maybe have now more like awareness and more sight because we've already went through certain legs of the journey, right? So this is 2020, and then it's really like a standout piece where it has a lot of information for me, where I want to return deeper into like this direction, and also go larger, which I'm working on here. So then enter 2021. The beginning of time is a piece that also is coming to mind as I move into these, like, they're not really new expressions, they're kind of like old expressions that are new again. Like the return is what I say all the time. It happens in our artwork, it happens in our life, because we can always return again. You know, and that's just a choice away, which is really cool because that means it's possible. You know, you just gotta take responsibility for that and get going and do the work, you know, in art and life. Anyway, so the beginning of time kind of marks this moment of understanding for me, and what really has been happening when I am working on these smaller expressions, you know, really kind of like training the energy and the awareness to be able to trust myself more and risk more in the process. And you could see with these painted, drawn marks, like drawing onto the surface more and just letting go. And that's like the interest, is where drawing and painting kind of they kind of hit each other, and it kind of becomes one and the same for me. And that's like what I've been like focused on the last like 4 years heavily, and kind of coming into my own understanding what it means for me. And that's important because it's going to be different for you, and it should be, but you might find similarities. So that's when we look for our inspirations, right? When we mine for the words of the understanding. And I do have a little mini course called Visual Mining that helps you do just that. It's affordable, it's accessible, and people are having really cool results with it. So you might want to check that out. And especially if you're interested in words and how it connects into inspiration, how you can start to find your own language through the mark making and through the words and through the expressions. And that is something that I've come to really grab onto and love in my process, not just in art, but in speaking about it and showing up to the moment and living into all expressions. So in the beginning of time, I sort of lost I lost myself by like thinking that I just want to be a painter and not a mixed media artist. But I guess I'm everything, right? I'm painting and I'm drawing and I'm putting the mixed media. So I need to have like, I made that video Art on the Go where I'm talking about how I'm a maximalist, and I just admitted that to myself, and then I can breathe more easily. And I'm also admitted some of like my raw like loves, like the tendency for me to be drawn to an outsider art and like some weird expression is a lot more than just some safe color field thing. So like when you know these things and you admit them, it doesn't make the other thing invalid. It just makes it like not as interesting, and it doesn't really make yours invalid either, but it might make it harder to push forward. But what, it's complicated, all of this stuff. That's why we are always kind of needing these reminders and facing the fears and like listening to someone else's real story about what it's really like to move through the process. And it's not about pretending that you just do step 1, 2, 3 and then it's magical, you're all set, you'll never have a bad experience again. Not true. I just want to be real, keeping it real and raw. And so I lost myself in these expressions, but I've been looking back and reflecting. I also want to talk about one painting that sold to a woman in Australia. She bought 2 pieces earlier last year, and 2022 was called Hidden Place. And I really was attacking that surface with a drawing, and that was important to me. That was another breakthrough piece, and it was like my second larger piece. So, I think I ran away from it because I was scared. I was scared about the situation in my life. Like I keep telling myself I don't have the right parameters. XYZ, if these things keep piling up, what am I going to do? So that can happen to us, that can take us out. We can have a moment that's really exciting and opening and then like be shut back, because it blows us back in, because maybe it's what we really desired and we're seeing the insight and we're seeing the awareness and we're seeing the awakening, but we're not ready to take it all on. So there is something about timing for ourselves individually, and that's why being in our art practice and being more honest and taking a real honest look at all of these things is important, right? Even if it's scary. It can be scary, I'm not gonna lie. I still get scared to press publish on this video because I don't know, I'm doing it my way, and I'm not compromising what I want to do, and that's scary. Because for a long time I who doesn't want acceptance? You know? But it ultimately has to start with us, right? We have to just be like, okay, I know all of these things, and those are nice things that people say, but I really gotta do this thing that I don't understand, and I gotta move out here in this way and do my own dance. Because that's what makes sense to me. And then I find that other people enjoy it in the process, and that's when the reflection comes back, and I kind of get more information that, yeah, this direction, it's not for everyone, but it is for someone. And that's the same thing with our artworks, right? And when we kind of lose ourselves in the process of that understanding, and then we look back and we said, oh, that's where it was, and then we can return to that. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. And I'm in the process of coming out more in a bigger way with all of the sides. And once I've let all of the sides be there and realized, oh, it's all just part of me, and how I want to show up and what I want to create and what I need to say and what I want to do, that's important, especially if you were locked up for a long time like I was, and I can still get very anxious in certain situations, and I still don't always trust myself, and it's a learning thing. I find making these videos helps me process what's going on, and sharing it forward helps me anchor more of myself into the world, to take up the space. Taking up space was really the biggest fear in my life, and it's taken a while, and I hope it doesn't have to take you this long. I think that's also the desire for me to just share the harder stuff, because if you can realize, oh, it doesn't have to be that long, and I can just move forward now, and that's really freeing, right? To hear that. I know it was freeing for me when I would reach into hearing other people's really honest expressions, the struggle, not we want to yay, everyone has a struggle, but it seems like it's true, right? More often than not, it's about the journey that we're taking, and that's why you get that cliche, just you gotta enjoy the journey, right? But when there's all these things that are attacking us, or we're living in this our own cage, we need to just unlock the door and set ourselves free and come into the new awareness. That could be scary too, because sometimes it's more comfortable to stay locked in the cage than it is to take that first step out, and just start creating. And but we can always face these fears and, just go a little bit further today, even if it's a tiny step forward or a tiny mark forward. We could stay in our practice, and we could stay in our lives, and we can come into more of this understanding that whatever it is for you is, perfect. And whatever you want to reconcile with yourself and make amends with, then try. Nobody has to know about it. You don't have to make a video, but you can change, and you can find forgiveness, right? And you can find yourself again in your artwork and be oh, I totally lost myself there, but I'm coming back around, and I'm gonna do it even bigger now. You know what I mean? So it's all part of the practice, and it's all part of moving into this understanding of a higher awareness and energy, and opening up to the emotionality, and just learning to face that thing that's right here now, and then move forward accordingly.